Quebec City, the French-speaking capital of the province that shares the same name, is the jewel of eastern Canada. The city rests majestically on the Cap Diamant and spreads its charms over the impressive landscape. Quebec is North America's oldest city with stunning buildings and the only remaining fortified city walls north of Mexico. We know this region is crazy about biking, but once a year they freak out completely. The Valerium is Canada's biggest bike festival. It brings cycling fever directly into the lush forests of Mont-Sainte-Anne. And also this year, the Valerium stands out in the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup presented by Shimano. Wet rocks and roots will give the riders a very hard time, so watch closely.
Hey, I'm Emily Batty from Canada, and right now I'm going to go ride the XCO Mont-Sainte-Anne World Cup course. This whole course in general is pretty technical as far as the World Cup course. It's a pedaler's course, but quite demanding at the same time. We got a long descent, which is, really good for recovery, but at the same time it keeps you on your toes because it's quite technical, and with the mud, it makes tire choice pretty important. As you can see here, there's a few sharp turns that have a really, really slick rock now that it's been raining all week. Oh, and as you can see, I've fallen. It's quite steep. The camera really doesn't do much justice, but we have a nice technical, wet, rooty, S-turny descent here. And just as we get down this section, we'll head over a bridge. It's an overpass. And now I'm going to ride off to the pits, back to my team tent, and prepare for the race.
And only a stone's throw away from here, we meet Quebec's mountain bike queen at her home.
Hi, I'm Marie-Hélène Prémont from Château-Richer. That's where I grew up, so come on in. Growing up in Quebec City is very nice. That's a nice place to live. And I'm living in Château-Richer, so it's 15 minutes from Mont-Sainte-Anne and 15 minutes from Quebec City. Mont-Sainte-Anne have a World Cup since 1991, I think. I was volunteer there at the beginning. I was working on the course. I wanted to try, so I tried it and I fell in love with the sport, so that's where I began. My biggest success was for sure my silver medal in Hatton in 2004. That's a good memory for me. And for sure winning here in Sainte-Anne 3 years, that's a good memory too. That's hard to say which one is better, but winning in front of the crowd, in front of our family and friends, that's a good feeling. I have a good team, good support, so I know I can count on them for everything, and I think I have one of the best teams to race for.
And it's high time to check this out. Together with Emily Batty and Catharine Pendrel, Canada has many strings to its bow, hunting for the podium on home soil. The women are already lined up. Lena Biberg, 28-year-old Norwegian champion. Next to her, the local heroine. She's already won this World Cup 3 times. Her compatriot, Catharine Pendrel, last year's overall winner, also with a home advantage. So we'll see what happens in the Canadian mountains, and they're off. The 4th UCI Cross Country World Cup of 2011 has begun. The women have to ride 5 laps, each 4.8 kilometers long and peppered with 260 meters of elevation change. Eva Lechner, wearing the tricot of the Italian champion, has taken the lead and is making the pace. Behind her we see the 25-year-old Swiss Nathalie Schneider. Lechner still in the lead, while Georgia Gould prefers to push her bike. And then once again on the uphill, Gould not sitting on her bike. Julie Bresset, the World Cup leader, back in 4th place. At the end of the first lap, we have 7 riders forming the leader group. Gould in the lead, then Lechner, Nash and Bresset. Irina Kalentieva has pushed it through into 5th, and then Marie-Hélène Prémont and Catharine Pendrel. Now Pendrel has taken the lead and is setting a very strong pace on this uphill section. No wonder, because the 30-year-old really loves this track, as she told us before the race.
I really like this style of mountain biking. I grew up about not too far away from here, and so I love the rocks and the roots and getting dirty. Actually, they did make some changes from last year. They just changed the order of some sections, and they've done a bit to try and make it a bit faster in places as well. I still think Mont-Sainte-Anne is one of the hardest courses out there on your body and technically, especially when you get the weather we've had over the last couple of days. So it's going to be a really challenging race, but should be good.
And just as she predicted, it's going very, very well. She's still out in the lead, with the French Bresset some meters behind her, and these two have managed to shake the others off. Eva Lechner seems to have overpaced herself and gets easily overtaken by 2 riders. Meanwhile, Pendrel has extended her lead and is cruising through the lush meadows, while Bresset, in 2nd, starts to take up the hunt. The Russian Kalentieva pushed through into 3rd position, and some meters behind come Nash and the local girl Premont in 5th. Bresset on the rocky section. Oh no, she stumbles and crashes out badly, straight over the barriers. Hopefully she hasn't hurt herself too badly. So she's got back on her bike and she's still in 2nd place. But the Russian Kalentieva is closing in on her. Kalentieva comes closer and closer, makes an attack and successfully overtakes. Bresset lets her pass without too much resistance. This is the end of the 3rd lap, with Kalentieva coming over the line some 50 seconds behind Pendrel. And nothing can stop her. Pendrel extends her lead with every meter. Starting to overtake the back markers. Kalentieva there in 2nd place, but Bresset in 3rd seems to have recovered from her shock and is taking up the hunt. In 4th position, the Czech Nash despairs on this uphill and decides to push instead. Behind her, Premont in 5th. Pendrel flies over the rocky section. While Kalentieva takes it easy. Nash pushing hard in 4th position, trying to close the gap to Bresset. Pendrel heading for her last lap. Also, Kalentieva is defending her 2nd position without too much trouble. And then we have Bresset back in 3rd place. The bronze medalist from Beijing and former double world champion, going for her best World Cup result so far this season. Premont and Nash, here's the battle for 4th and 5th position. Pendrel has just 2 kilometers to go. She cruises easily down the hill, and unless she crashes, she should have the win in the bag. More than 90 seconds behind is Kalentieva, sitting comfortably in 2nd place. Bresset back in 3rd, with no real chance of making an attack for the lead, just holding her position. Nash in 4th, and then Lizzie Uzzell from Austria, the overall winner from 2009, has managed to push into 5th, with Premont breathing down her neck. Pendrel is still in the lead, although she has crashed. Check out the slow motion. She failed on the single trail, slipped off, crashed out. But she got back on her bike and everything's back to normal. Bad luck for Bresset. just before the finish, she got an equipment fail. Her technician has to change her back wheel and she loses her advantage over 4th position. And for sure, there comes Nash, takes over. Now she takes up the hunt, while Pendrel comes closer to her first World Cup victory this season. Bresset breathing down Nash's neck. Will she regain her 3rd position? Just 2 kilometers to go. Kalentieva in 2nd just has to bring it on home. So it's done and dusted. Pendrel wins the Mountain Bike World Cup in Mont-Sainte-Anne on her home ground.
I've been wanting that win this year, and I love to do it on this course. It's, you know, I didn't quite have the race I wanted here last year when it was really important, so I'm just so happy that it happened today.
And also Irina Kalentieva brings it on home, 2nd place for the Russian. And now we're waiting for 3rd place. And finally, there it is, Bresset manages it. On the last meters, she managed to overtake Nash, who comes in on the background and has to settle for 4th. And Premont, the local hero, comes in 5th. But is she satisfied with this?
But in general, I'm really happy about the race I did today. My goal was to do a top 5, and that's what I did.
And here are today's big winners, with an outstanding Catharine Pendrel on the top of the podium. So, Premont in 5th, Batty in 7th, a great result for the Canadian riders. The overall standings, Bresset still in the leader's jersey. And now, it's time for the Canadian men to shine.
My name's Jeff Kabush. I race cross country for the Maxxis-Rocky Mountain factory team. My strengths growing up in Canada are definitely the technical stuff, and not necessarily that I go a lot faster than everyone, but just save a lot of energy, and when the conditions get wet and tough, it's when I tend to excel the most. Probably my biggest single race is a couple years ago in Premont. I won a World Cup. I've been on 9 or 10 podiums, but to win one's pretty special. And it's been Maxxis and Rocky Mountain is really kind of a family atmosphere around the team. I've been racing for Maxxis probably for 6 or 7 years, and Rocky came on board 3 years ago. And the neat thing about Rocky Mountain is they're from Vancouver in BC, close to where I grew up, so I know a lot of the people there, and been able to work closely with them to develop some pretty cool bikes. And Mont-Sainte-Anne is pretty special. It just kind of feels like homecoming here for me. I've raced here so many times, and it's definitely a little bit more technical than a lot of the other races, and I'm pretty excited. We've had a pretty wet week here, and so the course is getting more challenging. Tends to suit me, and hopefully with the home fans behind me, it'll push me that a little bit extra.
And we're sure that he can count on his fans. On the starting line, we meet Jaroslav Kulhavy with some wounds on his face. 2 weeks ago, I hit a car during my training. I lost 4 teeth and I had a lot of stitches in my chin. I had to go to the doctors every day and lost 5 days of training. Due to this accident, I fell behind with my trainings program. But despite this, I hope to get my leader's jersey back today. So the men are getting ready. And always in with a chance, the Spanish Matador world champion Jose Hermida. Next to him, the German Manuel Fumick. And the Frenchman Maxime Marot next to the Swiss Nino Schurter. And they're off. But one familiar face is missing. Julian Absalon, the current World Cup leader, has stayed in Europe in order to prepare himself for the World Championships next month. So the riders are on the track, 72 guys with 6 laps to go. The Czech, Jaroslav Kulhavý, takes the lead and tries to break away at the very beginning of the race. The question is this attack too early? In second position, the Swiss Nino Schurter, behind him Florian Vogel. By now, Kulhavý has a demanding lead and successfully broken away from the group. Behind him, the battle for second place is taking place. Fumik attacks, but Schurter shows his strength and defends his second position. Fumik still breathing down his neck, and there's no chance for the Swiss guy to pull away. At the end of the first lap, the Czech has extended his lead to 20 seconds. Fumik has just managed to overtake, and now it's Schurter's turn to breathe down Fumik's neck. But on the uphill, they switch positions once again. Now, Schurter's back out in front and making the pace. Fumik slipped out of his pedals and has lost some seconds. But also, the leader, Kulhavý, has some problems with the rough terrain. Schurter has managed to pull away from Fumik, but not very far. He's got maybe 20 or 30 meters. Behind them, the Swiss Florian Vogel and his compatriot Martin Goujan fighting for fourth position. And as Kulhavý rides out of the picture, we can see the gap back to Schurter, with some meters behind the German guy Fumik. Vogel still in fourth position with Goujan behind him. This rocky section has spelled doom for some of the riders. Kulhavý starting his third lap. 20 seconds behind him is Schurter. Fumik tries to defend his third place. Behind him, Vogel coming closer. The Swiss Matthias Flückiger works his way up and overtakes Goujan to take sixth place. Fumik still defends third place, but he's closely followed by Vogel. And finally, Vogel has overtaken because Fumik had to dismount on the uphill. Behind him, we see Flückiger fighting hard in sixth place. Kulhavý, the 26-year-old Czech mountain bike and cyclocross rider, way out in front. Then we have Nino Schurter, some 50 seconds behind. Last year, the Czech was European champion, and now he's heading for his second World Cup win this season. But there are still 3 laps to go, and it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Behind him, Schurter in second. Vogel has saved his third position. Then we have the world champion Hermida, who has managed to push into fourth behind him with Fumik and Flückiger. The battle for fourth has entered into a new dimension. Flückiger gets ahead of the group. In the lead, Kulhavý seems to extend his lead easily. His tactics have paid off, and Schurter is also on his own in second place. Flückiger, Hermida and Fumik have closed the gap to Vogel. Hermida now in fourth position. He likes this course because it's exactly here that he grabbed the World Championship title last year.
Well, you know, coming to Mont-Sainte-Anne for me is always a pleasure. It's like my garden, you know. The last 10 years, 14 years I have been racing here in Mont-Sainte-Anne. Always great courses, great designs. And especially if I remember last year when I won my title, the World Championships in September. So it's coming to my brain big remembers. And well, but this year is a totally different situation, you know. I'm not so fast like last year during the World Cups. And but anyway, here in Mont-Sainte-Anne I always feel motivated. and I'm gonna try to be better, and of course, if I can get close to last year, I will do it. I focus.
And meanwhile, this small group with Hermida has caught up to Fogel and have managed to overtake him. Fumik makes an attack and pushes through into third place. Here we see Schurter in second, and the gap back to the pursuers. Fumik overtakes once again and pushes through to third, and on the tricky downhill section, he loses control, crashes out, pushing just too hard. But he jumps back up onto his bike and defends his position. Fogel is right on his tail, and then we've got Flückiger and Hermida following the lot. So this thrilling fight goes on. Now Fogel is leading the group, Flückiger behind, then Fumik and Hermida. In the lead, Kulhavy, doing his own thing, keeping his own pace. He's just got to keep it all together. There's Nino Schurter, all on his own in second place. In 2010, the 25-year-old Swiss won the overall title, but now he's being followed by a group of 4 very strong riders. But a stroke of bad luck for the German Fumik. He got a puncture and has to get into the pits. So his fight for the third place is over. But the other 3 are in the thick of it. Hermida attacks, pushes into third and tries to make a breakaway. Finally, he did it. At the beginning of the last lap, Hermida has some seconds advantage over Fogel and Flückiger. Schurter here in second place, and then as we look back, we can see a hard pedaling, hard hunting Spanish matador Hermida, who's broken away from the other 2 to make a claim on third place, with Fogel and Flückiger behind him in 4th and 5th. Kulhavy here with an unbelievable advantage of more than 1.5 minutes. Nino Schurter's just got to bring it on home, and also Hermida has managed to extend the gap to his pursuers. Flückiger now in 4th and Fogel back in 5th. Kulhavy brings it on home. He crosses the line and celebrates his 2nd World Cup win of the season.
I don't know why, and I am very satisfied with this race because I was very strong in this technical and my bike was perfect.
1 minute and 42 seconds later, Schurter over the line. Then we get the Spanish matador, Mr. Hermida, coming in 3rd. Flückiger takes 4th, Fogel 5th, and the Canadian Jeff K. Bush has to settle for 7th.
I was really happy, kind of got in the top 10 and was able to get into my rhythm, made a few mental errors on the 2nd lap, had a little fall, but I was able to regroup and kind of find my rhythm and ride back up into 7th for the finish. So by far my best result this year, so I'm pretty happy to build on that.
On the top of the podium, Yaroslav Kulhavy. He's going to get a little champagne shower. Not only that, but he also gets back his white leader's jersey. And on the leaders board, we see that Julian Absalon falls back into 3rd place because he's concentrating on the World Championships. So, we and the Canadian Woodchucks say goodbye from Mont-Sainte-Anne. We're going to see you next week in the US, in Windham, for the next round of the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup, presented by Shimano. Au revoir.